what saddens me is the fact that the citizens of Pretoria seem to be about last in the queue. Their concerns, their interests seem to be on the back burner, and all that matters is getting their politicians getting their hands on power. Now, you had a coalition government which was working, and Celia Brink, whom I've known since he was a schoolboy, is a really excellent fellow. He and that coalition government of his was busy turning the financial situation of Tshwane around. And almost everybody seems to think that they were doing a good job. But he had to be knifed because Mr. Herman Mashaba had his toes champed on or something, and he wasn't going to be insulted and so on. So he pulled his people out of a working coalition and has been dancing around with the ANC, embracing Mr. Panyaza Lesufi and the EFF. And it doesn't surprise me at all why the EFF, in fact, Julius described Herman Mashaba as the EFF mayor of Johannesburg at one stage, to Herman's embarrassment. But so now he's clasping them and he's going to put them in power.
Douglas, when you speak about Herman Mashaba dancing around with the ANC, that is condescending. That almost suggests that Herman Mashaba has no right to have agents, or at least ActionSA, to decide who they want to work with, that the decisions that they make should be looked at in a particular way. I struggle to process dancing around with the ANC. When he was working with the DA, he wasn't viewed in a negative light.
Well, he got to the stage where when he was the mayor of Johannesburg, where he lost the confidence of his own caucus. And that's why he got out, and that's why he went and formed his own party. So it goes back quite a long way now. And in that very first election which he fought, the ActionSA fought, they did remarkably well. They stood in only 6 metros in South Africa, and they got a lot of votes. In the general election, which followed recently, they lost more than half the votes that they'd got. And my prediction is that they're going to lose another half of the votes, because in Tshwane, the people who voted for him must be horrified that what he's doing is taking a working coalition, of which his party was part, taking them out of power and putting the EFF and the ANC in power.
You're not answering my question,
make no mistake
though.
about it, if Dr. Moya becomes the mayor, she's going to do what the ANC and the EFF tell her to do. She's not going to be the boss.
You're not answering my question, though.
Please reframe
Dancing
it.
around with the ANC suggests that he's got no right, or his political party has no right, to self-determine.
He's got the right to dance around with whomever he likes. But he must face the consequences of it, because the sort of people who voted for him certainly wouldn't want to take a working coalition led by the DA with ActionSA in it, take it out of power and put the ANC and the EFF into power.
And one can argue that the DA is facing the consequences of being a bad partner, bad coalition partner, because that's part of the complaint. How they got here today, they blame it on how the DA behaves in a partnership, almost as if smaller parties' job is just to back the DA. It's the DA's way or the highway. And the consequence of that kind of attitude is today's outcome.
No, that's just an excuse. It's nonsense. The people who served on the mayoral committee in Tshwane got on like a house on fire.
Yet, Freedom Front Plus has had some complaints. I've spoken to some in Freedom Front Plus about working with the DA. The ANC grumbles every other day. They're members of the GNU. You see Helen Zille making public utterances and threats, in essence, in the public domain quite often.
Helen says, if we're all members of the Government of National Unity, surely we should try to cooperate with each other. And surely where the metros in South Africa generally are in a mess, the ANC and the DA should be cooperating. Instead of which, Mr. Lesufi and the Gauteng ANC didn't want any deal at any price with the DA. That's why they kept us out of the provincial.
The so-called GPU vision.
Abib,
The GPU, the Government of Provincial Unity that
yes,
the
that's
DA
right.
wanted.
He
Yeah.
made derisory offers which he knew the DA couldn't possibly accept. And he seemed to be determined to do the same in the other metros in Gauteng. And in other words, he's busy undermining the spirit of the GNU.